Some pretty big news has come out from Cupertino as Apple has announced the new Apple Creator Studio subscription. Apple describes it as a groundbreaking collection of powerful creative apps designed to put studio-grade power into the hands of everyone. It sounds a lot of words, but the apps that are included in this package are mostly used for video editing, music making, creative imaging, and visual productivity. And we're going to break it down. But first, let's talk about the price. The subscription will become available starting Wednesday, January 28th, for only $12.99 per month, or you can pay for it all at once at $129 per year, which saves you about $27 roughly on the annual subscription. But if you're a student or an educator, there is an option for you that's even cheaper. It's only $2.99 a month or $29 a year. But for all the new subscribers, when it goes live, you will get a month free to try it out. Or if you purchase a new Mac or a qualifying iPad, you're actually going to get 3 months free to use it. So now, myself as a content creator who's adverse to subscription-based products, I'm happy to say that Apple did state that a one-time purchase option is going to continue to be available for most of these products. And they're also available on the Mac App Store. So some of these are the free versions that come included on your Mac. These will continue to be available and will continue to be updated, but there are going to be some extra additional features that will be included in those through the subscription that you won't get with the base product. So what comes in this new subscription, you ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. You get Final Cut Pro on Mac and iPad, Logic Pro on Mac and iPad, Pixelmator Pro on Mac and iPad, Motion on the Mac, Compressor on Mac, MainStage on Mac, and intelligent features and premium content for both Keynote, Pages, and Numbers, and intelligent features that also are on Freeform for both the iPhone, iPad, and Mac. But those are coming soon. And I don't know if you noticed, but it was mentioned that Pixelmator would be available now on iPad, which is one of the most notable parts of today's announcement. Apple acquired Pixelmator back in November of 2024, and this is the first major change that they've actually done or released since that's happened. Pixelmator Pro, it's an award-winning image editor for the Mac. That was a really big win for Apple to add to their own software offerings. But now with it coming to iPad, which is a highly desired request that's been asked for a while now by users, it brings an all-new touch-optimized workspace. It has full Apple Pencil support and the ability to work between the iPad and the Mac seamlessly. So Apple says that it's been built from scratch for the latest iPad OS, and it takes advantage of Apple Silicon. Additionally, subscribers will have access to the new Warp tool for twisting and shaping layers any way they can imagine. Personally, I haven't played around with Pixelmator. I've been intrigued ever since they acquired him, but my wife made a move from Adobe products a few years back because she hated having to pay monthly for software. So we ended up purchasing the full suite of the Serif Affinity Suite. And we have the full license that we've been using that for a while now. We've been in that ecosystem now ever since. It was a one-time purchase at the time. We did upgrade one time when they came out with version 2. But last year, Canva purchased Affinity products. And with that, they finally released the version 3 of the Affinity Suite. But the crazy part about it is they decided to make it 100% free. They do have some additional AI features that are available on the product that requires a Canva Pro subscription to use, but the base standard features that we all used in the original are still there in the live free version. But back to Pixelmator, I would say it's a very solid product with a huge user base that will be excited to see this update, especially to get the iPad version. But that's not all that's a part of this subscription. Final Cut Pro for both the Mac and the iPad, which is a fantastic product for use for video production and editing. You can still purchase the app as a one-time purchase of $2.99, but it's also included in that new subscription. And Apple says there are some new features being added, and one of those is called transcript search. So with transcript search, you can easily find a soundbite in hours of footage by just typing a phrase into the search bar to see exact or related results. Then there's visual search. With visual search, you can pinpoint exact moments across all your footage by searching for, say, an object or an action, and then adding that to your timeline just in seconds with visual search. Another real cool feature is beat detection. It's powered by an AI model from Logic Pro, and Final Cut Pro can analyze any music track and display the beat grid so you can line up music and videos together. And then finally, they have Montage Maker for the iPad. And on the iPad, this will analyze and edit together a dynamic video based on the best visual moments in your footage. And then you can change the pacing. You can cut to a music track. You can intelligently reframe horizontal videos to vertical with auto crop. So quite a bit of features. Now for me, I bought into DaVinci Resolve Camp last year. I purchased the full version, the studio version of Resolve, and I've been learning all I can about that software for my content creation. And many of these features that are announced in this update we already have those in DaVinci Resolve. For instance, DaVinci Resolve Studio, you can create editable subtitle text, which then can be searched, but not the specific type of phrase to find a soundbite functionality that they're going to offer. But the results are similar, but it's a little bit different of an implementation between the two. The beat detection feature, though, is one I've used many times in DaVinci Resolve. It's fantastic for creating snap points on your audio track so that when you're trying to line up scenes with the music, you can actually snap them to the beginning of a segment of a song so that you have the screen changing at the same time the music changes. They do it differently, but it's very similar in how the end result works. And then there's the visual search. DaVinci Resolve has a great object tracking feature called Magic Mask, which allows you to track or isolate objects, but it doesn't have a feature to identify an object across an entire project like Apple's saying will be available in the Final Cut Pro. But that's pretty cool. What I will say is the third pillar of the subscription is you have Logic Pro. Logic Pro is widely respected, is frequently ranked among the top DAWs, particularly for creative composition, arrangement, and full song production, and it gets a few updates as well with this new subscription. One of the big features of Logic Pro is an AI session player lineup, and this is joining that, adding an electronic music performance with a wide range of like choral and synth bass parts that's all powered by AI. Then they also have Chord ID, which uses AI to turn any audio or MIDI recording into a ready-to-use chord progression. And this eliminates tedious manual transcriptions and helps populate the chord track, which drives all the performances of any of these AI session players and what drives them and they use. They also have updated the new sound library to include hundreds of royalty-free loops, samples, instrument patches, drum sounds, and more. This is a little different than what I use with my video production where I'm pulling royalty-free music to put in. This is more pieces that's used with Logic. And then there's also a quick swipe comping feature for iPad users. They will now have access to this, which was already only available on the Mac, to create seamless performances even on the go. The natural language search is another feature that iPad users can describe a loop they're looking for and find similar loops in the library using this AI-based awareness. So for me, I'm not one that plays around with this area of music. This is completely out of my comfort zone. I've always found it fascinating. I found it interesting, but nothing that I've ever actually really jumped into. But if I was going to go about creating my own music, I probably would use Logic Pro to do that because it has a really great reputation of being versatile and allowing users to really explore their musical creativity. And for what I do, I would likely not use this product for my workflow. It would be more of a toy to play with and to see what I could come up with. But it being a part of the subscription is a great inclusion overall in my book. Okay, now when I saw these next apps that were included in the subscription, I honestly said, what are those? I've never heard of these. Are they something I should be using? Is it something that I should consider in my workflow? So I searched to find out what these even did, and it turns out I probably don't need these for my workflows. But let's talk about them anyways. First, we have Motion. Apple Motion. It's a motion graphics and animation tool. It's very similar to what you would find with Adobe After Effects and the DaVinci Resolve's Fusion section of the app. It's primarily used to create animated titles, lower thirds, basic motion graphics, and simple visual effects like glows, particles, wipes, and such like that. In my case, I already have and use Fusion for DaVinci Resolve Studio, but Fusion is far more powerful, but it is slower to learn and to build things in it. However, I find its flexibility really interesting and something I enjoy doing. Then you have Compressor. It's a dedicated video encoding and delivery tool. Where DaVinci Resolve already has this built in, they already have a video encoding and delivery tool built into it. Compressor gives a slightly finer control over encoding. It creates some automation around the process, and it really integrates well with Final Cut Pro. So again, for me, I would gain very little by making the switch unless I was really committing to a move to Final Cut Pro. Then finally, MainStage. It's designed for live music performances, running Logic Pro instruments on a stage and controlling sounds with MIDI keyboards and controllers. So unless I really step out of my comfort zone to start writing and performing music and doing it on stage, this really isn't something that I need to worry about. So if you do use Final Cut Pro and Logic Pro, having these applications as part of a full subscription really makes a lot of sense, and it's a great addition to the package overall. The last part is we're going to talk about the included options of the new subscription, which are basically AI features that will be available on most of the productivity applications included with macOS. Those being Keynote, Pages, Numbers, and Freeform. So first let's look at Keynote. Keynote will have the ability to generate a first draft of a presentation from a text outline, or to create presenter notes from existing slides. It can help you clean up slides to fix layout and object placement. The overall concept with the updates will be helping you get from an idea to a clean presentation deck faster. Then with Numbers, users can generate formulas, fill in tables based on pattern recognition with Magic Fill. And Apple's trying to help those of us who frequently say themselves, I don't remember spreadsheet formulas. I can never remember what I need to do to get this. You can use natural language queries to get your data easier, like asking it simply to show me trends in X, whatever X is. So I think that's going to be really useful for those of you who use it more often. I don't that much. Then we look at Pages. Apple is adding AI-assisted writing, which means rewriting, summarization, and adjusting tone, for example. And it's their answer to products like Google Docs plus AI or Microsoft Word and Copilot. And then Freeform. Lastly, there's Freeform. This is an application that I've tried many times in the past to just get into it. And for some reason, it just doesn't work with the way I work. Maybe one day I will get it to work for me, but here's what they're adding to the application. AI-assisted idea organization, better object recognition, smarter grouping and layout, and enhanced collaboration. I've heard it said that Freeform is a digital whiteboard that doesn't fight you. That would be good to have. Freeform shines when your ideas are messy, when you want spatial thinking and not necessarily a linear flow. It's really good for the creative process, and if you get it work for you, it's a really good tool, which probably means I need to take another look at it and see if I can use it maybe with a new mindset and give it another shot. But overall, my thoughts are it's not a huge benefit for me and how I work. I rarely open any of these applications. However, when I need to do something that these applications do, I am trying to default myself to these applications now instead of, say, the Microsoft suite. I have an Office 365 subscription because my wife uses OneDrive for storage for her business and her business pays the bill for it. But I actually haven't installed those apps on my new Mac hardware because I wanted to force myself to stick with the apps that are given to me here and give them a chance. They all work fine for me, but I tend to use other apps for document and idea management, like, for example, Notion. So there you have it. Just a quick run through of the new announcement from Apple about the new Creator Studio subscription. If I was starting out new today, well, on January 28th, and I was going to do what I do now, I would definitely consider this as a viable option for my workflow. However, I would lean more towards a one-time purchase over the subscription option. But given that if you took each of the applications that I would use personally and added up their cost together to purchase them outright, it would take me about 3.5 years before I paid as much doing the subscription. For example, Final Cut Pro is $29.99. Pixelmator Pro is $49.99. Motion, $49.99. Compressor, $49.99, which all adds up to a total of $449.96. So if you subscribed at $129 a year, it would take you about 3.5 years to fully offset the full price of purchasing them outright. So is that a good value? Is there enough to convince you to subscribe? It depends. For some people, it's a steal, but for others, maybe not so much. But one thing I can say is that honestly, a pretty good value for what is offered is the overall package. Anyway, that's my take on things. I hope you found some information out of this that is helpful for you. And let me know what you think in the comments below, whether this is something you would subscribe to or not. Or if there are certain pieces of it that call out to you and say that's something that would be good for you. But again, thanks for listening. Thanks for hanging out. And we'll catch you on the next video.